Hey guys, I have the Seadoo GTX 950 Di here today, and this key turns over but doesn't start up. The main suspect is a fuel pump, so you need to get the seats off and proceed with getting the glove box out first. You have to get these pins right here out to get the glove box out. So in order to keep from getting any way, you can kind of see this one right here. It actually has this Phillips head screw in the center of it. You can start with a Phillips, just kind of get it started. You don't want to push too hard down on it. It starts to pretty much pull the screw out. If the screw doesn't come out, or if it comes out just a little bit, you can also just kind of start it just a little bit. Let's see, just a little bit like that. You see how it's part of the way out, and you can actually just get a screwdriver under it and just pull that middle pin out. That's actually the Phillips, and at that point, then you can actually just kind of get a screwdriver under there. Just like this. There we go. And just pull the other one out. You really don't have to pull those out because they just kind of come out with the glove box. But once you get all four pins out, there's this one, and then there's two up here. One up here and one up here. That's why this little tiny screwdriver helps, because it's actually, you have to get all the way up in the tight area where the glove box hinges. So once you're done, you actually can just put the bottom pins in. When you put it back in, you push that one down, and then you actually just kind of push those all the way down. You can kind of push them down just like that, and it pops all the way. So that's taking them out and putting them in. The glove box has to come out in order to get down to where the fuel pump assembly is. Then you have to take the vent tube out. The vent tube has a section like right over here that has a tie strap that needs to come out, and there's another tie strap at the front that needs to come out. You take those loose, you pull the vent tube out, you move the fuel fill hose, disconnect it, move it out of the way, and then you can actually get the fuel pump assembly pretty much out, or at least get better access to it. So those are the things you need to get down there. In order to get the vent tube out that goes over the fuel pump assembly, pretty much this tube right here, it comes down pretty much from up around the glove box area and loops around down here. You actually have to take this second tie strap loose right here. So cut this tie strap, and then the tie strap that's actually up under the glove box area, you take that loose, and then you can actually snake it up through the glove box to get that out. That's the one that goes directly over the fuel pump assembly. And you also have to take the fuel filler hose loose over, pretty much over the fuel pump assembly, so you can kind of get it out of the way. I just tie strapped it out of the way so I could get the fuel pump assembly out. So that's the other things that need to come out of the way. It is a good suggestion to mark the top of the fuel pump seal, and top of the tank, because it helps to reinstall the pump back in the tank the proper direction. Once you get the vent tube removed and out of the way, disconnect the fuel fill hose from the tank and tie strap it, or just move it out of the way. This is how bad the fuel pump assembly looked when I got it out of the tank. The fuel filters just completely fell apart, the level cylinder and terminals and the top cap were badly corroded, and the pressure regulator on top of the pump had all sorts of gunk in it. Your pump assembly may not look this bad, but most of the locked up ones I remove normally do. Here is the original fuel pump and bottom cap for the fuel pump assembly. I could not use any parts of either one, but the housing did clean up because it was aluminum. When disassembling the pump parts, make sure you save anything and everything you can, because some of the small original parts may have to be reused. If you end up purchasing the same complete Quantum Fuel Systems pump kit I purchased, then you'll find the pump diameter slightly larger, and the yellowish colored pump support collar will need to be modified to fit around the new pump. Next step was to completely suck out all of the bad gas in the tank and put fresh gas in. I typically use premium gas if it looks this bad, seafoam fuel treatment, and marine fuel stabilizer to treat the fuel if it has any ethanol in it. These are the parts that I discarded because they are in too rough a shape to reuse. To help remove the rust scale on the fuel level cylinder and top cap wire terminals, I soaked those items in rust remover solution, then I cleaned them with brake clean. Now that everything has been cleaned, damaged parts have been sourced, and new parts have been assembled, it's time to start assembling the fuel pump. The kit that I purchased to rebuild this pump was a direct fit with the correct wiring to hook up to the fuel cylinder and the pump housing top cap. These are the two fuel filters used on the fuel pump housing. Since the fuel pump housing bottom base was in too bad a shape to reuse, I had to borrow the check valve washer and bottom cap from another pump to build this one. I did accidentally grind out the plastic pump support piece a little too much, so this is a thicker black one that I fabricated to put in its place. Here's a closer look at the fuel level sender wiring plug. It looks just like the factory one. This is what the fuel pump assembly looks like installed in the aluminum housing. Since I had to replace the pump housing lower base piece, the rivet holes did not line up perfectly. When the rivets were expanded, they held just fine. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the comments section. Also, don't forget to check out my description for links to tools and materials used in this video. This is the size rivet needed to reinstall the lower base onto the housing. Now it's time to put the top cap on. Hook up the wiring, lube up the fuel pump output shaft to help it go in smoothly into the seal, and clip the top cap into the aluminum housing. This is what it looks like without the fuel level sender installed. This is the assembly with the fuel level sender installed and wiring hooked up. This is how clean everything should look before you get ready to install the assembly in the tank. Here is a closer look at how clean the fuel level sender got after soaking it in rust remover soap. When you get to this point, you are now ready to install the fuel pump assembly in the fuel tank. Obviously, since the fuel pump looked as bad as it did, the external fuel filter and fuel supply and return lines needed to be cleaned out also. This replacement fuel filter came in the kit, and the factory hoses were a really tight fit to get them to slip on all the way. After getting the fuel pump in the tank and installing the cleaned out fuel lines and new fuel filter, the ski cranked up and ran smoothly again. If you enjoyed this video or just found it helpful, please smash the like button, subscribe to my channel to see more cool videos like this one, and don't forget to check out my description for links to the tools and materials I used in this video.